Thank you for staying with us. By the way, this is still sunrise, as if you didn't know, because you can see it right there behind me. Now, let's talk about making money. Is it how to make it or how to keep it after you have made it? I'm sure it's all in there somewhere, you know. We have representatives of Meristem, an indigenous capital investment company. They're here to talk to us mainly about building generational wealth. It's my pleasure to welcome the Managing Director, Meristem Trustees Limited, Damilola Hassan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, as well as Fumilola Adekola Daramola, Head of Wealth Advisory Services.
Good morning.
Thank
you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming.
Wealth doesn't really look like wealth. Sometimes they hide, right?
Sometimes, yes. But may we not have the wealth that we cannot spend?
No, it's not that, though.
May we not have the one that is spending, that is hiding?
Cowrie.
Mr. Hassan, first of all, what is generational wealth?
Okay,
Let's start from there.
It's simply the concept of ensuring that wealth does not start and end with one person.
Your
moving it on.
Your commercial, the lady with the big headgear.
Exactly.
Who says something does not have to end with you.
Absolutely.
Your wealth does not have to end with you.
And then you saw her daughter, so it's just trying to help us, be more intentional about how we grow our wealth, and then ensure that it doesn't end with you. To what extent does that wealth move on to the generation after and the generation after that?
What causes the end?
What causes?
What causes the end? What is it that makes the wealth over years? Because, one of the questions
what would make my wealth end with me?
Yeah. Yes. So many factors would lead to that. Sometimes it's just about leaving it to assumptions that it would always be there. So you start a business, you're doing well, and the next thing you send your kids abroad to school, and they don't want to come back to manage the business. But here you are, as a business owner, you are assuming that your son, your daughter will come back to take over that business, and you hold on to that sentiment, and where you're supposed to explore other opportunities, to see how that business can grow, how you can have a certain succession plan outside of your family, not necessarily, tied to your family, how you can even take it, further, bring in other investors. There's so many other opportunities, but a lot of times we hold on to the sentiment of, no, it has to be within the family. And then it's just sometimes lack of planning,
Is that why many companies, many successful companies of years ago don't seem to continue?
Unfortunately, yes. That and so many other reasons. The discipline that the first generation builder, put in to even build up that business, it wanes. So by the time the business is passing on perhaps to the second generation, you probably don't find that same level of discipline, that level of commitment, because these other people were born into the wealth. Yeah. And then, we have this mindset of, I have suffered, my children shouldn't suffer. And then we don't realize that we're actually robbing them of the opportunity to earn their space at the table.
And the children come along and they don't want to suffer too.
They don't.
Yeah. So they're not going to put in the time and the sweat that you put in.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Wow.
Mrs. I beg your pardon.
It's a mouthful.
Fumilola Adekola Daramola.
It's all Ola.
Exactly.
It's all related to wealth.
And it's all wealth.
Yeah.
That's my question. That's my question. Even she is Damilola.
Is that why your company employed her?
Who knows?
Because it's full of wealth.
Who knows? So the wealth lives within.
So I'll come to the advice part. So that because this Ola is like 3 Ola raised to power 3, so to speak. But how would you describe your organization's approach to clients and investors, especially those who are trying to plan for generations? I mean, going by what the MD has said.
Okay, at Meristem, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So it's not just based on the products that we have or the services that we have in-house. It depends on what the client is. We need to profile you and understand your objectives so that we can meet your needs. So where exactly are you at the ladder? Are you at the earning phase? So if you're at the earning phase, it then means that you're accumulating your wealth. What are your income? What are your expenses? So we need to then identify your goal and do some asset allocations to make sure that the kind of returns that you're getting during that period is able to satisfy your post-retirement lifestyle, and you're also able to transfer your wealth. So you need to go through the phases of the grow, the preservation, and the transfer of your wealth. So it's not dependent on, it all goes down to who exactly the client is, then we give your solutions.
It's sounding in my ears like you're saying a salary earner can plan for generations.
Oh, yes. Planning for generation does not start and end with the wealthy people. So you struggled all of your years and you were finally able to build a house and you never did plan. So there's no estate planning in place after your demise. And you have 3 children all fighting to try to get the one house that their father built. To you, it's quite a lot of money by the time, okay, so you have a house in maybe Ikeja and it's now valuing 120 million. You might think, oh, I have 4 kids or I have 3 kids and they won't fight. But you can't just imagine what some little money can cost to family
house,
love.
so they will fight.
so it's not restricted to the
So
the wealthy.
even the pension is not enough. Because some people are just waiting for
the pension. It's not enough. So you don't want your, you know that after building the wealth, you still have your post-retirement lifestyle to maintain. So it does not start and end with your pension accumulation. You also have to set some things aside to ensure that you achieve that goal.
So let's go back. So I'm a salary earner. Let's say I earn
30,000 naira per.
No, not 30,000. I earn 150,000 naira a month, and I'm nearing my retirement, and I come to Meristem for advice. Okay, my working life is coming to an end. What do I do to ensure that I don't starve? Because who knows, the good Lord may still have a huge budget for me of another 30 years to live. So how am I going to get through the next 30 years? What kind of advice would you give me?
Okay, so like Fumi said, it's not a one-size-fits-all. We look at your situation.
That's why I've told you 150,000
you're
is
near
what
retirement.
Yeah.
Already, I know that you're, just by virtue of your stage in life, your level of risk exposure has to be minimal. But on the contrary, you find such an individual wanting to earn a lot of returns at that stage because there's that pressure to meet up with what you think the demands of your post-retirement lifestyle will be. And so you want people who are, you find people who are willing to take risk because time is fast spent. But then, are they able to take risk? So that's one conversation we like to have. There's a difference between your willingness and your ability to take risk. You know, we look at that. We look at your liquidity needs. What do you spend? What can you afford to set aside? You probably didn't start early, but that's not the end. You can still pick up from where you are, and then we look at it. So you may just be able to set aside an additional 10, 20% of that 150,000. If that's all you can do, it's your reality. You know, okay. So that's why we come back to start early. You can imagine someone who is earning 150,000 and who is 25 years old. There's a lot of difference.
Yes.
You know,
she says she's hypothetically nearing. I'm not going to say anything about that one. But what would you advise? Now, there are a number of dynamics always at play. I didn't say anything.
I was actually going to give you a knock on the back of your head.
I love you too. There are so many dynamics in place. On the one hand, we have a very, very interesting economic climate right now. And then there is a lot of pressure on whatever meager resource anyone is earning per time. So how would you advise anyone who is having it very straight now and still wants to plan for the future? The take-home pay can hardly take this fellow to the bus stop.
Yes, it's really a very difficult decision to make, but you have to be very intentional about it. So you realize that gone were the days that children were even ready to take care of their elderly after retirement. Children are all about
Themselves.
being okay themselves. So you have to be very intentional
And
about
that's not
it.
to disparage them.
No, no, no.
It's just the reality.
It's
just
the
the
reality of
reality.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
own kids will
because
do that.
Yeah.
it's gotten to a stage wherein its disposable income is just shrinking and shrinking. But you have to be intentional about it. Your lifestyle. What are the things that you think that you can cut off? That it's not so necessary. It's not a do or die affair that you can cut off from your expenses that you can then set aside into your.
Okay, madam. Society has its own natural pressure. You work among people who you just don't want to fall behind. And at the same time, you want to be intentional, as Mrs. Adekola Daramala has advised. So what kinds of products and services do we have at Meristem that can help that kind of person who wants to remain relevant, where it's necessary, where it's important, as well as build for the future?
Okay.
You understand it's
Yes.
quite a...
Of course. We do not advocate for you to abdicate a beautiful lifestyle. We understand that we have different aspirations. You have different things that we're chasing after. And so we're not expecting you as an individual to deprive yourself of all of those things. But what we are saying is, what do you want to achieve? So paint a picture of that future. Paint a picture of where you're heading to. What's your financial objective? What are your investment goals? So we sit, we look at it, and it could be as simple as having a savings plan. Just something that will be deducted on a weekly basis if you self-employed, or something that is connected to your salary that is automatically deducted, you know, on a monthly basis. We have that in place. That's just simple, and it fits anyone. You know, you can always subscribe to that. Then we also have a robust asset management service that allows us to, you know, take a look at the assets that you even have currently. So sometimes it's just about you investing in the wrong assets or investing in the wrong proportion.
Madam, I'm going to put a pause on that.
Okay.
For two reasons. Number one, the asset this person has is iPhone 12. And you want this person to not use it? The second reason is we have a commercial break. We'll be back. Thanks for staying with us. So, madam,
Interesting.
iPhone 12.
You can't...
Come on, Alera, why are you laughing?
To think that somebody's entire asset is an
iPhone
iPhone
12.
12.
Isn't that sad?
Well, that phone costs more than $500,000 naira.
Exactly.
So that's money he could have put to very good use.
Yes. So it's not realistic. You want to eat your cake and then still have that piece of cake. No.
Maybe it's a
you
virtual
will just
cake.
have to, and then you can't eat it. You will just have to make choices. So it's important that we are deliberate about our choices. And I'm really very particular about younger people, people who have the opportunity of a lifetime, people who have years ahead of them. What sort of decisions, money decisions are you making today? You know, do you just want to trend on all levels?
Yes.
You know, you want to trend, even the desires that
Keep
we
up
have.
with all
You
the
know,
Joneses.
Now you don't hear so much about delayed gratification because people justify that away by saying you only have one life to live.
So it's instant gratification.
Yes. Yeah. So you are gratifying your desires in the immediate, and you're not thinking about the future. And then the future will catch up on you because today is the future that we talked about yesterday.
Indeed.
You know, so, and then tomorrow will just come just before you know it. So what have you put in place? So partnering with a firm like ours helps you to bring in that discipline. So sometimes you know, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Partner with a firm that can help you to be accountable.
Yeah, sometimes even the pocket is weaker than the flesh. But, let me ask you. Okay, you want to?
Yes, Falola, your segment is tagged Generational Wealth, the gift that keeps on giving. I want to know more about that second part of that, the gift that keeps on giving.
Okay.
What gift is that, and what is it giving that it keeps giving?
So like Damilola earlier mentioned, generational wealth is that assets that you're able to transfer to generations to come. So let me use an example. So I have a father that had 2 houses in Banana Island, has so many properties
a
worth
rich father, then.
like 10 billion naira. Definitely I have a financial edge over the next person that is starting from ground zero, that finished school and is trying to build his own wealth. But unfortunately, statistics have shown that just 70% of that wealth is lost by the second generation. And by the 70% is lost by the second generation. And by the third generation, you have just 10% left of that wealth. So that is why, as you're building that wealth, you also have to build that knowledge in those that you're transferring the wealth to. They need to appreciate what that wealth is so that it can be a gift that keeps giving. So it's not limited to you being able to accumulate that wealth, but being able to ensure that your beneficiaries are able to keep that wealth onto the next generation.
How does that happen?
So you have different plans that you can do to ensure that it's a gift that keeps giving. So let's say for a business owner, a small to medium business owner, you have built your business and it's grown over the years. You just left it to assumption, like Damilola said, that your children will take over your business. Do they have the capacity to build that business? And even if they do have the capacity, are they willing to build the business? So then you have to have a succession planning in place. So it does not necessarily mean that it's your children or your family that should inherit your business. You need to have those resources. Who amongst your staff now or junior to hire someone that will take over the business and grow the business, make sure that it continues as a growing concern. As a father or as a salary earner, you've set aside funds and everything. Do you have an estate planning in place to ensure that your children do not start fighting over your wealth after you're gone? And if you think that you have family members that cannot retain that fund, do you want to make sure that it's just some seasonal or periodical payments to the children and not just the bulk sum that would then get used up?
You've spoken to those who are into business. Now, there are those who are also into, who are earning pension. I talked about it earlier. Is there any plan for those who are pensioners? Can you just give me that answer in 30 seconds?
Oh, yes, there is. As you're building as a salary earner, and you're setting aside, because we would work with you to understand what your income and your expense is, and build a formula that would then give you the kind of resources that would be able to retain your post-lifestyle, your post-retirement lifestyle, and also give you that opportunity to transfer your wealth as you desire.
Oh, dear.
Thank you very much for coming. You have 5 subsidiaries, by the way: Meristem Stockbrokers, Meristem Wealth Management, Meristem Registrars and Probate Services, Meristem Trustees, Meristem Capital, Meristem Finance. But it's all Meristem. So if you are thinking about generational wealth,
Transfer.
these are the guys to talk to. They'll take care of you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having
The
us.
Managing Director of Meristem Trustees, Damilola Hassan, as well as Head of Wealth Advisory Services, Fumilola Adekola Daramola.
Yes.
All the Olas. Thank you very much for coming.
Keep the Ola and let's see it transfer.
Let's grow it.
Right, right. So we shall be right back with the home stretch. Stay with us.